Remakes, reboots, revisiting, reimaginings, they always happen. But there's no show that I think has had a universally panned finale and ending, even more so than Game of Thrones, than Dexter. That series finale of Dexter with us getting lumberjack Dexter at the very end just didn't sit right with anybody. So we are getting a redo, if you will, with Dexter New Blood from the creators of the show and showrunners of the original first couple of seasons, and Michael C. Hall back as everybody's lovable vigilante serial killer. I'm gonna give you my thoughts and reactions to the first episode, Cold Snap, right after the jump. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. So this episode is called Cold Snap, and I'm going to have to be a little bit spoilery. I'm not going to kind of go over the entire episode because I know some people have not seen it yet. It is airing in different times, and some people have had access to it before. From this week, from here on, I will talk about it in a little bit more detail. But for this episode, there are going to be some spoilery moments. So if you want to go in completely blind and you don't want everything revealed to you, I think now would be the time to head out of here and come back once you've watched the episode. Cool. Good. So what we get in this episode is a lot of Dexter playing, hiding sort of in plain sight in the small town as James Jimmy Leland. He is a fish and game store worker. So his routine is that he wakes up every morning, kind of goes out running in the ice and hunts animal game, but he doesn't. He doesn't actually pull the trigger. He's more in awe and astonishment of it. He has a woman that he's dating who also happens to be the sheriff of this small town, which obviously that is going to come back at some point in time to bite him in the ass. Um, but he's been fine. There's been no incident or killing in a decade. He's been living this life and he's been managing to keep the status quo for himself. He's been doing that with the help of Deb. I know you're like, Deb's dead. Yeah, she is very much still dead, but not like his stepfather in the previous series. She plays sort of this conscience on him, but as opposed to pushing him and giving him the rules and all of this stuff for murdering, she is there to sort of be the conscience to say, hey, you need to be on the up and up. You need to not do these dumb things that are going to bring attention to yourself or bring people towards you that you may cause harm to. And so he's been living this normal life, and he's been doing well. Like he seems this is by far the most normal that we've ever seen Dexter. He is laughing. He is having wild and inappropriate sex in places that he probably shouldn't be, but he's having a good time. And then obviously we know we wouldn't be back here in this world getting a redo if there wasn't something that's going to throw a wrench into all of that. And what happens is there's this rich prick that sort of comes along. The second you see him on screen, you know, yeah, I see what's about to happen here. Dexter is not going to be happy with this guy. And we sort of get a cat and mouse. You know how Dexter has to find out more rules, but he does a really good job of not being triggered. He lets this guy on a very long leash. He finds out more clues and more stuff about him, but enough that he's like, all right, I can't be the one to do this until something pushes him over the edge that he has to change up. And it's gonna be interesting. It's interesting to see that like that slow burn or what it is that sort of gets peeled back, and we get more and more as we get back to Dexter. We also have an old family member that returns that sort of also could possibly throw a wrench into it, and Deb comes out even more like, hey, stop bringing people to you. Rita, LaGuerta, Dokes, me, everyone that comes around you ends up dead. Please don't bring anyone else into your circle. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the back end of this episode between that, his relationships with other people in this community. Some we've seen, some we haven't really seen in full fledged. How everything sort of comes together because at the very end of it, you know, Dexter is going to be back, and the ramifications of what that means because he's also out of practice. He hasn't done this in a while, and so does he still follow the same rules? Does he still do the slide? Does he still all of that? And is he messy because he hasn't been in practice for a decade? Is he covering up all of his tracks? Are things as easy to cover as he used to be? There's an interesting part in here where the sheriff is watching gets a notification that her daughter is having people over at her house via a ring light. And she makes a comment, she's like, can you imagine having these type of things when we were teens? And he thinks like, no, I can't. But like, you think about it. Some of these murders and deaths that Dexter did back in the past, with the way the technology is, he may not have been able to get away with it. He may not have been as clean. So is he on the up and up and prepared to deal with the new world that is sort of happening around? It's going to be fascinating to play with. But I also think we're in like a snow cap, so everything about this feels slightly different, but still within the vein of Dexter. It's that perfect marriage of getting something new with something old, merging it together and coming up with something completely different, but still feeling like a continuation of what we got. I haven't had this energy about after seeing an episode of Dexter in a very long time, and I just feel I am genuinely excited to see what we're going to get next, and I surprisingly, now that Lumberjack Dexter is sort of gone away, and we got this now Snowman Dexter that is going to bleed in and to have a lot of different things as we go along. I want you to watch it. I want you to enjoy it and come back and talk. But once we get there from this point on, we're going to get into spoilers and things because this is a fascinating episode and there's a lot to chew on. And I'm just glad that I've never seen You. I know people are watching You, but I'm just glad that the OG vigilante killer is back and looks to be in sort of awakening moment. We aren't back in full form yet, but we're getting there. But the journey to get there and journey to what the ramifications mean is going to make this series a joy to watch. What did you guys think about the first episode of Dexter New Blood? Cold Snap. Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast by the same name. It's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any other place podcasts. We're there. From this point on, this is just a new series. I mean, American Crime Story will be going away, so I have one episode after that. But this is going to be a new series that I talk about weekly. So from this point on, this will be the only quasi or mostly non-spoilery episode of our recaps and reviews. From this point on, I'm getting to spoilers. So let's come back next week and we will discuss everything that's happening with Mr. Dexter Morgan, or James Leland, as some people know. But like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.